What's one thing you got no doubt about?
I think the one thing that I don't have any doubt about is the support I get from my family. You know what I mean? Like, no matter good, bad, or indifferent, I can always rely on them to support me in whatever it is. You know what I mean? And now when I say whatever, I mean whatever.
I know it's God's favor for the position I'm in. And all them losses took the toll, so now I savor my wins. I work with niggas I looked up to, now they hate on my pen. And I can't explain these transitions and these phases I'm in.
Welcome to No Doubt, where we provoke thought through conversation, and on every episode, we highlight a Black-owned business. So today's Black-owned business is Talk to Me About Money. You can find them on Instagram at TalkToMeAboutMoney_. And I'm gonna stand up for y'all, because I got all of them. We talking about a lot of money right now. We got the shorts, on the back, Talk to Me About Money, but it's about community. It's about building, lifting each other up. Black business owners, tap in. If you support Black business, you say you support Black business, now's your time to shine. So comment, like, tag, follow, all the details you'll see on the screen. Talk to Me About Money, _. And let's get to it, man. Provoke some thought through conversations. That's different. That's different. Yeah, because I mean, when you talk about, like, talking about no doubt and something that you have no doubt about, like, a lot of times that support is something that's missing, especially in the Black community.
Facts.
Where, we have different opportunities, we have different things going on, but we don't necessarily have the support. We don't have somebody behind us and everything that we do. So, And I think that's something that in our community is what we actually lack, is that ability to support one another.
Yeah, for sure.
As we're, embarking upon different ventures, doing different things. And so to hear that you are actually, your support system is what you have no doubt about. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Like elaborate on that. How is that, different for you in your space and what you have going on?
Yeah. The support that I've gained from my family has meant pretty much everything.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of firsts for me. I was the first male in my entire family to go to college and graduate, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was tough because you didn't have that uncle, dad, cousin, whoever just to pick up the phone and be like, hey, I'm going through this type of thing. So I think, being the first of it was very scary, you know what I mean? So obviously, finishing college, graduating with honors, it helped open up a couple of doors that were also first and also news, you know what I mean? Like getting into real estate, trying to climb the corporate ladder as much as I've been able to. Those were a lot of firsts, and along the way I've needed support, so I think about it right now, like an example, I just rented out a new place to a new tenant in a different state.
Okay.
I couldn't have done that without the support of my family. You know what I mean? And I think about things that have helped me achieve certain levels of success wouldn't have happened without that support. Sometimes with your friend groups or, your boys or whatever, that support is conditional. You know what I mean? Like, what am I getting from this situation?
Yeah.
And although, I still take care of my family when they do things for me or whatever, they would do without that, and that's that piece for me is invaluable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's very rare that you have this type of support and this level of support.
Yeah.
Especially as you start to climb, because when people see you start making more money or, they can benefit, it's more of a, hey, what can you do for me grab? But I can say consistently from the very beginning, my family members have always been core supporters of anything I've done. And it's a full cheat code.
Yeah. So when you say like support though, because you're the first, right? And I heard you mention being the first to do a lot of things, graduate college, do different things. What does that support look like? Do you feel like it differs, or, as we try to embark on new things, we oftentimes look for people who've been in that space, or we want something. We say, okay, let me walk in the footsteps of somebody who has this. So you being the first to do a lot of things, do you feel like that support is just different, or is it just a commitment to you as a person, which kind of boosts you regardless of whether the knowledge is there?
I would say the latter, man. I think, again, calling up a family member and say, hey, man, I'm dealing with this coworker and they're trying to do X, Y, and Z. If a family member hasn't experienced that exact thing in a corporate setting, there's not a lot of advice I can give, but I would say, just keeping me balanced. I think support looks like, being able to call them up and just say, hey, I need you to pray for me, or, help me think through something. I'm thinking this way. What do you think this is the right approach to something? And I think sometimes, especially in the Black community, we think support is like, hey, give me some money or do this thing for me. Okay. And sometimes it's just being present, sometimes it's just being a support factor to stand you up, you know what I mean? Or be that emotional crutch that you may need, or that spiritual crutch that you may need, right? So support has meant a couple of different things for me. I've never asked a family member for money or anything like that, thank God. I mean, knock on wood, hopefully that's never the case. But support has always been, it's always been a supportive an effort, you know what I mean? A supportive effort just to keep me grounded, keep me focusing on the things or the goals I want to achieve. Yeah. And it's been different along the way. So.
Right. So speaking of those goals that you want to achieve, like, I hear you talk about the corporate ladder, starting off in corporate, like you currently work in corporate, and what does that look like for you? What is the next steps? How did you get here? Kind of where do you see yourself, like, in climbing the corporate ladder? Is that something that you want to do?
I think there are certain goals that I'll first start and say that I never really expected to see myself as far along in a corporate setting as I am today, right? Okay. And I know it sounds weird to say now because I'm so ambitious now, and I know that I'm like, it's so many things I do want to achieve, but transparently speaking, when I was in high school or even college for that matter, I didn't really see a lot of, successful Black men achieving the things that I'm currently doing, right? Yeah. But now that I'm here, I'm seeing a lot more. And I think that exposure piece is huge, right? Now it's like, well, if I did this and I did that, I most definitely can do this. And I think, for me, those goals, I don't think the ambitious goals that I have will never just be like, well, once I hit this, I'll be done. Because I don't know, it's like once you hit these certain milestones and you understand that you can actually achieve them, you always want to kind of go for what that next level is. Yeah. So I think for me, I'm happy about the successes, the challenges, the trials, all those things that have happened along the way, because they're part of the story. Right. And I think sometimes when we hit roadblocks or snags, or you come across a difficult manager or somebody that has tried to put a stop in your progression, you got to think that this is a part of the total equation. You know what I mean? So like wherever you are, just understand that this is not the last stop if you're going to continue to have more ambition. So for me, man, my goals are not dictated on a particular position or anything like that, or even a dollar figure. It's more about internally, what do I feel I need to be going for next? You know what I mean? And that could be beyond a role. It could be beyond, a money goal, if you will. Because if you think about it, I mean, when you start making a certain amount of money, more money really doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like when you're starting off, yes, more money is everything. But when you start making a certain dollar figure, the extra money you add doesn't really change your lifestyle that much. You know what I mean? And I think for me, that has repositioned the way that I think about what's next for me. You know what I mean?
So, I mean, being a Black man in corporate America, and you hear all this, in the background, like, you're working for somebody else, you're trading your time for money. That's just the typical, that's what we're hearing nowadays. Right, so like, how do you, I guess, what's the word? As you're hearing that, do you feel any type of guilt? Do you feel any type of, I'm not supposed to be here, I should be working for myself? I can achieve way more than just being, working for somebody else. Like, how does that resonate with you? Does that deter you? Is there something like a voice in the back of your head where you consistently think about it, or?
Yeah, so I think, man, I think the more that people, and this is going to be a long-winded answer, but I'll get there. I think the more that people understand systems, the more this makes sense of, why things exist. Why am I working for someone else? Why, you know what I mean? Like, and I think it sounds just cliche to say, understand systems, but seriously, everything that we do, and every job that's out here has been designed from a system, right? And yes, you can go make way more money working for yourself. You'll have more time, freedom, and all that.
Yeah.
But being a entrepreneur myself, that's not the case, right? I think during the pandemic, and even before that, you had so many people talking about, man, you work for the man, you're always going to be a slave. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't feel that. I have a lot of time, freedom, a lot of flex. This is the most flexibility I've ever had in my career, right?
Wow. Like the current space that you're in right now.
The current space I'm in right now today, the job I go to, the team I support, the leadership I roll into, this is the most flexibility that I've had ever.
Yeah.
And so, this narrative of like, hey, you're never going to be financially free or have time freedom unless you work for yourself is completely false.
Yeah.
And I think it's a narrative that's out there because so many people don't have flexibility in their roles or don't know how to demand that type of, flexibility in their roles. And I'm not gonna sure I can't just go and do whatever I want, but I can plan my time accordingly.
Yeah.
And for me, that is freedom. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Because even if you're working for yourself, if you got like 100 clients that are paying you $1 million a month, I'm making this up obviously, but you belong to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your time and all your efforts belong to those clients that you're serving. Yeah. So this idea that, you're exchanging your time for money, again, if you're making enough money, the time that you're exchanging doesn't really matter because you're going to be exchanging that time either way, whether you're working for yourself or working for the quote unquote man. You know what I'm saying? So I hate that narrative because it's one of those things that, was exacerbated during the pandemic and everybody was selling courses and you're doing this backwards if you're doing this. And I'm like, no, I don't feel that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like it's interesting that like we're talking about this because I've been thinking myself, it's like, okay, is being an entrepreneur really it? And what I mean is it really the thing that's going to give me the freedom that I want? But when you think about freedom, it's like, does that differ from person to person? Like, what does freedom actually look like? I mean, if I'm making $200,000 a year and I have this flexibility to take off kind of whenever I want, or I have a company that allows unlimited PTO, and then you actually hear these companies that do provide unlimited PTO, they get more production from their employees and they don't even see them taking an excessive amount of time off.
Right.
But the fact that it's there means that, okay, in a way, I'm being micromanaged less,
100%.
but I'm also producing more. And there's no pressure for me to do X, Y, and Z. I know that my company supports me taking off on this day or whenever, within reason, depending on, what you have going on. Maybe it's a seasonal type thing or you're heavy on the beginning of the month.
Right.
But it's just something that we hear constantly. And I'm always like thinking in my head is like, is the corporate space the way to go? What does that actually look like? Is that something I want to do long term?
Yeah.
Am I a slave to the system?
Yeah. No, it's a good point, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying before. You're going to have various periods throughout your career, right? I'm a little older than you, so I can speak from a true perspective here. There's going to be several points out of your career and you're going to be like, man, what am I doing? Am I in the right space? Like, I feel like an idiot. Like, I don't feel like I'm getting, the things done, or I don't feel like I've got the trust from my team or whatever, right? It's reality.
Yeah.
But, man, seriously, when you understand the larger picture, right? And then you start the best thing to do is start to think critically about things you want to do.
Yeah.
Actually go do them, right? I think a lot of people, you've seen this all over the internet where people are like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. And then all of a sudden, 2 years down the road, they're back in the workforce.
Yeah.
It's a reason for that, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's not meant to be an entrepreneur. And everybody's not meant to work in a building somewhere.
Yeah.
It's just like the reality of who we are as humans, how we process information, how we understand systems, and what our functional outputs are going to be, whether you're in a corporate environment, working for yourself, whatever your way of making money is. Yeah. It's most critically important, like I said, to think about these things. Like, well, am I in the right place? Like, if you're constantly one of those people that is, you're never being promoted, or but you're staying on a job, you're being successful. Whether you want to, maybe you're not excelling, to the C-suite like your colleagues will at some point. Yeah. But being able to support your family, being able to eat every day, you know what I mean, in its own right, that is a success. But if you're someone that is not able to hold a job, right? You keep trying this place, that don't work out, all these things don't work out, you're probably not meant to work in a structured environment. And thus an entrepreneur is born, right? So everybody has a certain skill, everybody has a certain output that they can get paid from. You just kind of got to figure out what it is, you know what I mean? But I don't want anybody to start looking like, well, I'm not getting promoted, so I'm not successful. If you are constantly on a job and you're able to take care of your family, bro, that in its own right is successful.
Gotcha. So your definition of success is not about title, right? It's about what you're able to do and provide for yourself and yours.
If you were making, I'm throwing out a crazy number, you're making $6 million a year, but you hated every part of your life. Are you successful? You know what I mean? You're making $6 million. That's more than most people make ever, right?
Right.
But you hate your family. You hate the job you go to. You hate the people around you. You hate your friends. You hate yourself.
Yeah.
Are you successful? You know what I mean? Like success is going to vary from person to person.
Yeah.
And yeah, some people think that once I hit 200,000 in my career, I'm gonna be good. Then you hit 200,000 and you're like, it's the same as it was at 100,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I said. Like at a certain dollar figure, the money is not going to change. It's not going to change your lifestyle that much.
Yeah.
You can go get the AMG version of the car versus the regular version of the car.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's still the same car. You know what I'm saying?
Car, yeah.
So I think I challenge people all the time. Like, man, when I hit this, I'm gonna be successful. That's cool. I try to change up the thinking a little bit more. Like, do you feel comfortable with who you are today? Yeah. If the answer is no, adding money to that equation is not going to change anything. I promise you. I can promise you. You know what I mean? And you can, don't even say my word. Look at all these celebrities that commit suicide and don't live this comfortable life. You know what I mean? Like they have everything that you could think of.
Everything you can think, you can imagine. They have,
I mean, I think Will Smith said it. He was like, he said, I wish that everybody could become successful so they can see or hit this dollar figure so they can see that once you get here, it doesn't change things. You got to change it here, bro. You know what I mean? And that's how I define success. You know, having peace of mind, a family that I can go to and I can hear the words, hey, I love you, or I can say it to them. Right. It would surprise you of how many people that don't hear that every day, but making all this crazy money. Crazy. So.
It's crazy that you mentioned Will Smith because I don't know if it was a tweet or something I seen, but it was like, he was like, once I bought everything that I could want. Yeah. So once I've spent my money on all this materialistic things, it's like after I'm done buying all the cars, the houses, the this, that, and the third, what am I doing? Yeah. So kind of back to square one. It's kind of like not knowing yourself. It's like, I got all these people, they love me, I'm a celebrity, I'm on TV, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But once the fame or once the people that are on your shoulders or watching you on TV or whatever are gone, it's like, okay, then who am I?
Who are you? Man, so that's why, outside of just being one of the best lyricists of our time, I have always been intrigued by how weird, quote unquote, weird Andre 3000 is. Okay. You know what I mean? Yeah. And where I'm going with that is he wears an album
with a flute.
Right, the flute album was different. I actually was listening to it on the road over there. I was like, I see where you're going with this, bro. You know what I mean? And his titles are crazy, by the way. But from the beginning, bro, he's always had the wild outfits and the crazy hair and all these things. Yeah. But what he was showcasing was his own freedom. You know what I mean? He was comfortable either way. He was like, this is what I want to wear. Yeah. I can go buy, Balenciaga this and all that, but I want to wear whatever I want to wear. And that's been his comfort level, from the beginning. Yeah. Part pause right there. Yeah.
How have being in the system, I guess, you say we're all in the system, right? Mm-hmm. We're all in some type of system, whether it's education, whether it's the corporate space. Oftentimes when I'm not working or if I'm on vacation, it's like, if I'm not doing something, I'm not producing. Mm-hmm. I'm not succeeding. So that systematic approach of, oh, I have to be working Monday through Friday or whatever my schedule is. And if I'm not working those days, I then feel non-productive. Like, how does that play a role into your life? Or do you subconsciously think about that as well? And that systematic approach, like where does that,
Yeah, so when I think about systems and how they have impacted the lives of everybody, I mean, I think that once every person understands that we, yes, in fact, are part of a system and you have a major role, whether you think so or not, that's when you're going to unlock, the quote unquote truths. I'm not trying to sound like no conspiracy theorist, but if you think about it from the very moment you went to elementary school, you were at school on a schedule. 7 a.m., 8 a.m., you got out at 2, blah, blah, blah. You came home, you did work, you ate, and then you repeated that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You graduated high school and you went to college, right? Now you had a little bit of a different freedom. You could change, but you still had classes that you had to complete. Once you hit this class and this prerequisite done, you move to the next one. You did this, and then you got an achievement at the end. Psychologically, all of us have been a part of a system, you know what I mean? Whether it's a janitor, whether it's a principal, teacher, student, you play a role in all of this. Nothing is different when you get into the real world. Whether you go to college or don't, whatever, your next step is to be placed somewhere. A job, maybe you're at, Burger King, maybe you're at Amazon delivering packages, whatever it is, you're a part of a system. And, one of the major kind of turning points for me, and I'm so glad this movie came out. It was, Who Cloned Tyrone or whatever. I don't know if you saw that. I mean, I think most people think, oh, that was a weird ass movie or whatever. But for me, I was looking at all of the undertones. And it makes you think, like, in every hood, it can be in Atlanta, DC, wherever, there's a same group of people, you know what I mean, in those systems. So if you look at the cash checking place, the liquor store, the church's chicken, whatever. Why are those all components of the same hood? It don't matter where they are. It's a system, bro. And when you lock in and understand that you are a part of a system, you can. It doesn't matter where you are. You can dictate where you want to go in the system. Do you want to be the person flipping chicken? You know what I mean? Or do you want to be the person that is owning the establishment itself? It's up to you. But if you don't put the effort in to own that chicken establishment, or you don't want to, own a development or whatever, you are going to be placed in one of these other places. You know what I'm saying? That's where you're going to filter. And it's no one's fault. You have to prepare for these certain things. If I spend my whole career saying, or if I spend my whole life saying, man, I'm doing all this school, I'm 7 to 3 p.m. in elementary, all the way to college, whatever, and I decide that the best that I can do is flip chicken or flip burgers, that's what I'm gonna do. But if I make up in my mind, like, man, how do I own these establishments? How do I become a franchisee or whatever? I may not have that right in the beginning, and I may need to start out flipping burgers for me to understand how do I deliver a successful experience to a customer to get there. But it's up to me to determine where I want to be in this system. You can't escape it. The moment that you get that, I'm telling you, it's like there's something that has clicked off in my head, where it's like, dang, these people landed here because they never prepared to be here. But they complain from not being there, but never prepared to be there. You know what I'm saying? And that's the piece where it's like, if you understand it, you can achieve whatever. Now, there's going to be roadblocks. Don't get me wrong, especially being a black person. You're not going to get it handed to you the way that someone else might. But you can know what your barriers are, or what your potential path to get there is, if you understand it. You know what I'm saying?
So doubling back on being first, because it's kind of, make me think about that. It's like, you don't know what you don't know. So, and a lot of us, especially as African-American men and women, we don't know what we don't know. And so we stop at, okay, I don't know this. I haven't been taught this. Matter of fact, this is what I've been taught. So this is the only way.
Do it.
And then on top of that, it's like, oh, well, this is as good as I can get. This is as good as I'm doing. And so I hear a lot of people, like even family members, we're talking about jobs and they're talking about different things. And I'm like, are y'all even out here looking? Are y'all, we're in 2024. There's a lot of different resources now I don't want to ignore the fact that there is certain pressures. There is
1,000%.
like we haven't been given the same set of rules, same playbook at all. But at some point, we gotta say, look, this is what I'm not doing.
Right. That's why I say it's important to understand how to get there. Right. Like for me, I think the beauty in not having a roadmap ahead of me is I can go anywhere.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? I can be afraid, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's always been the path for me because I've never known anything differently. I didn't have, like my dad didn't work in corporate America.
Right.
And achieve a VP level at a company, you know what I mean? Where I can be like, hey man, I want to be just like you or whatever, you know what I mean? No, don't get it twisted. My dad has been a phenomenal foundational support for me from day one. Right. To this day, I was just talking to him yesterday. Like you were there. Yeah. Like he's like one of those people that I can call and talk to about anything. Yeah. Same with my mom, you know what I mean? My grandmother before she passed, but none of them had corporate roles, but any of them could have done what I did a million times over. You know what I mean? Right. I just had to, being the first, had to figure out how to get there. Yeah. So now, like, still being the first, I'm still can't call anybody and be like, hey, how did you get to the CEO level? But I have been able to, you know, connect with people that have achieved that and more. Yeah. And I'm like, man, if you've done it and we're talking here like we boys and all that, I know I can achieve it, you know? And it's like having that second level of confidence and being scared and not having the blueprint has been a whole cheat code for me. Yeah. If you look at the people who have it carved out for them, my dad did this, they never worked, bro. Like they've always had it. Right. Oh, my dad did this for me. You know what I mean? You can talk about nepotism and all that. We ain't got to talk about LeBron and Bronny. That's my boy. But I'm saying like you don't have to work as hard. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? When something is available to you, use your resources and what you have. But like when you don't have a way to get it handed to you, you got to go take it. Right. And that's the beauty in having, you know, being a first, you know, that you have to go get it because you don't know anything else. Yeah. No one's there to go hand you anything. So you have to go, you know, and then listen, you're gonna have roadblocks throughout the way. I for sure have had my own set of challenges throughout the way, but man, like I wouldn't have had it any other, those challenges are what toughen up the skin, toughen up my ability to deliver because I know what not to do just as much as I know what to do. You know what I mean? Like it's important. It comes with the territory.
You know, talking about not having things handed to you and being the first and having to go get, but you, unlike a lot of people, had both parents, you know, growing up. So I'm not sure what your, you know, and maybe you can elaborate on your situation. It's like, did you ever go without? Did you, like, what was the dynamic of your childhood and how, you know, comparatively, like you might have somebody say, oh, well, you got both parents or your parents didn't go through this and that and you didn't wake up and had to fend for yourself and all that. Like, so what does that look like for Darius?
Yeah, so, I mean, my parents, you know, got married and had children like very young, you know what I mean? I'm not much older than my mom and dad. They got me by like 2 decades, you know, a little bit more than 2 decades. But when they had me, and I think about how old I would have been if I had children at their age, that would have been a struggle, you know what I mean? And my parents didn't have a ton of money, but we never felt poor or broke. Like we went on vacations every summer. Now I know how we got on this vacation, you know what I mean? Now I know what credit is and stuff like that. But my parents didn't have an elaborate amount of money, you know what I mean? And they were young and trying to figure things out. They were immature and didn't have the emotional maturity that you would see in some, you know, some adults that wait to get married, right? Gotcha. Like having those life experiences. So, I never woke up and had to beat my brother to the breakfast table to eat cereal or anything like that. That was never our thing. But there was not like this abundance of cash just flowing around. Right. But what my parents prioritized with us was principles. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was you know, is logic and love over money and, you know, I'm throwing another M word, manipulation, if you will. You know what I mean? Like, we had like core love. Right. And it's like, man, if I had a tough day at school or something like that, or, you know, I was getting into something, you know, with a classmate or something like that, I could always go home and vent to them about whatever it was. Yeah. And that that love and support translated even as I became an older adult, right? Like now my problems are different, you know what I mean? And now I'm coming to you with real life things that you may not even have the answer to, but I just know at the end of it, I can go to my mom, dad, family member and have that type of support. And it's like unconditional, you know what I mean? And it's not like, well, Darius, you didn't make this kind of money, so I can't love on you.
Yeah.
You know, I've literally been in situations, my wife and I truly have been around, you know, people who were celebrating milestones in their birthday or milestones in their lifetime. And the parents were like, well, you did this, now it's time to do that. Like, didn't even take a moment to recognize and celebrate them.
Yeah.
And you can see what that's done to those type of people over time.
For sure.
Like, they never can be happy or content because it's like, oh, what's the next thing?
That was what you're supposed to do.
You know what I mean? That you were supposed to do this. You're a such and such. Bro, what?
Yeah.
Not ever once have I heard, in that same scenario, I've never heard that person's parents say, hey, I love you. You know what I mean? I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
You never hear it. You know what I mean? And not that everything should be a pat on the back, but there should be a comforting space that you have with a loved one.
Yeah.
Whether or not you grew up in a two-household, you know, a two-parent household or one-parent household, you raised by grandparents. I think those are fundamental builds, right? We have to have that. But people that make the excuse, well, I'm just going to do this because I didn't have a dad there. Right. That's crazy to me, bro.
Yeah.
You know, all of us know right from wrong.
You know right from wrong.
Everybody does.
Regardless, over time, you're going to learn that.
Right. So you choose to do wrong because you didn't have what I had. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And you hear it so often in rap lyrics. It's trauma. Yes. Let's recognize it. But let's not use that as a reason why you become a menace to, you know, your community. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's no excuse for you not to take accountability and responsibility for who you need to be as a person. You know what I mean? Those are your cards.
Yeah.
We can sit here and play cards all day. Whatever hand is you're dealt, you got to play. You can't just be like, well, I don't want to play this hand because I don't have the joker.
Throwing the cards.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to have the joker in everything you have, so you're not going to have an easy way. But the good thing is this. Sometimes you're going to get the joker. You know what I mean? You play long enough, you're going to get some cheat codes and cheat cards. And you got to stay at the table, bro. Like, you can't just give up and then just because I don't want to play this hand, I'm going to mess up your hand too. You know, like people... Young people specifically, man, when they feel like they don't have an advantage like the other person, not only do they not do what they're supposed to do in their life, they try to go mess up the lives of others. And that's the destructive part we have in our community that we got to find a way to get around. We've been talking about it for decades now, but it's so bad now, bro. Like everybody wants to have the shortcut to success. And it's like, that's not reality for anybody. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
and like, not only that, like you say you're not always gonna have a joker. I like that one. I might steal that one. You might see that somewhere. But like, it's dressed up that certain things are not cool. Like, you're not considered a real success unless you went through something. You got it out the mud. Like, you didn't have it set up for you. And you know, me and some of my friends and partners, we talk about like, I'm trying to set this thing up. Like, I'm trying to create, you know, this, but there's you know, specifically in the white community, from my experience, you know, you have kids that live with their parents for as long as like,
smart.
It's like you you get your rent paid, you get all that, you working, you don't pay nothing. Like, what does that look like? And in our community, it's like, ain't no way you staying in my house without contributing and doing that. It's like, how does that set you up for, you know, the next level? Like, I feel like there's a lot of pros and cons, and as I get older, I'm starting to create my own, you know, perspective on, I don't know if I would do that, you know, with my kids or what.
Man, listen, in our community, in the Black community, we oftentimes prioritize, you know, poverty, and we glorify ghetto. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is exactly what you just said. In the white communities and other communities, once these kids graduate from college without any debt, right? Because, you know, mom and dad did the right thing by setting up a 529 college savings fund. Right. College is mostly paid for. Yeah. Those things are eradicated. Then you stay with me until you get married. So they can stack. They get on a job, even if they're making $45,000, $50,000 out of school, they're able to save that money because they don't have the bills. Yeah. Well, we go get a job, we making our $45,000, $50,000, and we going to go buy, you know, brand new Mercedes. We got to go live in the condo down there, and we learn about credit real early, you know, in our 20s.
So we stack that on there. I don't even got to pay that, but let me put that on there and let's get that interest going.
Right. Get the interest flowing, and then you hit 28, 30, you got all this credit card debt, no assets.
I'm in a hole.
You know what I'm saying? No, you're in a hole, and it's like that. That's why you prioritize poverty. Yeah, I'm not poverty. What do you mean? Yes, you are, bro. If you're living check to check or below that, what's the difference between you and somebody that's in poverty? The place you live, the car you drive, bro. Come on, that can be taken away immediately.
Right.
So we prioritize those things, and then we glorify this lifestyle of like, gas tank on me, but all drinks on me.
Yeah.
Wipe me down. You know what I mean? Like we glorify this, and we be but it's like when you unpack it again, system. Take that step back. Take this step back and look at the system, bro, and understand where you are. It's a game changer.
Yeah.
But people never take the time out because they're so busy in the system that they can't pull out of it to see where they are. You know what I mean?
Facts.
And I'm telling you, like, if we could get to a place as a people just to not prioritize stupidity and really start to use our resources and say, hey, mom and dad can say, hey, I'm gonna give you until age 25. You know what I mean? That's 4 years after or 3 to 4 years after you graduate college,
right,
to support you. Your goal is to stack $50,000. Once you get that, we're gonna help you get a house. Boom. You're now creating a different trajectory than when you turn 18, you better get out of here. You know what I mean? It's a different.
It's almost like just go fend for yourself, and it's like why, why even create a space where you feel like you have to? You're a constant war, like you're constant back against the wall. You don't have nothing else. Like, is that a way of creating the it in our children? Like, hey, let's just make sure that they know that they gotta go get it on their own. Like, but where's the support? Like,
what does the data say? The data says no, right? The data says you kicking your kids out at 17, 18 years old. Because, well, that's what I did. My mama kicked me out at 18.
Yeah.
Like that's that repeated, again, that's prioritizing stupidity, right? Like, yes, it should theoretically teach you to, have grit and, force you to grow up.
Yeah.
But the data shows differently. You know what I mean? Like, the data shows that we're falling behind even further down the economic chain. Yes, we've created millionaires and all that, but we're also creating more people who don't have millions that try to live like they have millions. You know what I mean? And that we got to fundamentally shift our focus on where our position is in this system and how do we support our youth that are coming through,
right,
to ignore all this crazy crap that they being pushed, that's being pushed them 24/7 on social. Like, bro, like, we're at a place now where people prioritize like trying to go be a content creator, versus being a productive citizen. And I'm not saying content creators are not, because we're creating content right now.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And this is going to be great content,
live content, good content,
good content. Yeah, it's good content, but this type of content is shrunk.
Yeah.
And we prioritize, stupid challenges and, shaking ass and everything. You know what I mean? That's the stuff that we glorify. Again, glorifying the ghetto. I keep saying it. But we don't prioritize these types of conversations, you know what I mean, when we should. Right. These types of conversations are going to change lives and change things that matter when those other ones keep us here and keep us smaller. You know what I mean? And that's right. It's all part of design. It's all a part of the system. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. This is just facts. You know what I'm saying? And these are the types of things that, like, I try to do with, I know I'm a small entity, but the people that I'm able to influence, life changing. You know what I mean? Like, if I can just change one life, bro, that's impactful. You know what I mean? And I think, with your platform and what you will be able to do, staying consistent with this, you'll be able to change, hundreds of thousands, if not millions,
Yeah, facts. And it's really about the people that we'll never meet.
Right.
It's being that light, being that beacon, and to be able to have conversations like this, and not always comfortable conversations. It's getting uncomfortable. It's being checked. It's being like, hey, you say you want this, but you're not doing this. What you're doing, your actions are not conducive to the things that you say that you want.
Exactly.
So it's just being in a space and to really have these conversations. And it's kind of tough because, like, I tend to not speak to people my age or younger because the conversations aren't there. They're talking about the things that are the wrong things, like things that I really don't care about. I don't care what celebrity did whatever. They're not paying my bills. They don't live in my house. They're not related to me. It doesn't really matter who they're talking to, who they're dating, what last meal they had. I'm not concerned. But at the end of the day, like, I do understand like the different, aspects and nuances and the different things that we're exposed to, and especially with social media. There is a different way of being nowadays.
100%.
But I think that there is leaning on the foundations of things, and like we keep coming back to systems, but things are put in place for us to get to the next level. So are we abusing whatever resource that we have? Are we complaining about all the things we don't have rather than focusing on what we do have? And then talking about spending the money, it's like, okay, well, you popping bottles, you doing this, you doing that, you thinking you're rich, but you don't have no savings. You're not like
no equity, no real estate, no nothing, no ownership, you know, and not to cut you off, I know where you're going with it. I think you're 100% right, man. A lot of the biggest success stories that you see always come from somebody that had to go figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you think about, most of these industry leaders, whether it be entertainment, music, whatever, a lot of those like rag to riches stories start from somebody that had to go figure it out. It's like, this thing has to work or it has to work. Like, you know what I mean? Like there is no plan B. You know what I mean? There is no, like, I can go live. Like sometimes you have to go make that plan work. Now, again, that's been the cheat code for me, is like, I've had to go figure it out. Mom and dad they can't pay the bills I have now. The bills I have now, my parents can't even help me now. So now it's like, you really, you know what I'm saying? You really got to go figure it out. And I think, once we as a collective get to a place where we take accountability, that's number one. There's no, like, if you don't make money and you're out here popping bottles and you're maximizing credit, that's not accountability. That's stupid, right? Yeah. And I've been there when I was younger, making a little bit, starting to make a little bit more money and all that. And I was like, oh, I can go do X and Y and Z. I had the nice cars, the condos downtown and all that, but had no money. And when thankfully I was around your age, 26, 27, when things started to click for me that, bro, what am I doing? You know what I mean? No one cares. Like, no one cares what kind of car I drive.
Right.
I like nice cars, but no one cares. You know what I mean? I'll never forget when I ended up buying a car that somebody thought I shouldn't have or thought I would never drive. I had to prove to them that I don't always have to drive a luxury car. Yeah. I'm still going to be, when I go in a building, wherever, I'm this is what you're getting. Right. No matter what I'm driving. Now, there is some brand elements. We can use that another conversation. But like, if you truly are a struggling person right now, you don't need to go buy nothing that's going to put you more in a struggle. Yeah. That's the bottom line. No matter what the internet tells you, when you pull up to mom's house or that, apartment where you have roommates and your nice ass car, that's a struggle life. You know what I mean? Versus like, delay that gratification for a little bit, get your ducks in a row where you can do all those things passively. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We talked about that before. Like, you can have passive dollars coming in that support that lifestyle versus you struggling to get there. If you just wait a little bit, get your things in the, you know what I mean? Yeah. But nobody wants to hear that part of the conversation. You know what I mean? They want everything they want now. And that's the challenge, Yeah.
This, I don't remember where I seen this, but they were saying like Beyonce, like 89 songs and 22 are hits. Like, you had to go through those 89 songs to get 22 hits. Yes. And so the other ones are considered, not that, but Beyonce is Beyonce. So it's just like, the repetition, the work, the being here, the being there, but it's one of those things with like old habits or old keys don't unlock new doors. They do not. So we got to figure out a way to continue to, sharpen our tools. So we talked about a little bit about success and what it looks like for you, but what's the cheat code? What's the ultimate cheat code? What needs to be in the bag in order for you, Darius, anybody to be successful?
We hit on it a little bit earlier, but like, I think, the biggest component of it is the support system. You know what I mean? You've always heard, it takes a village. And I think, when you hear that when you're younger, like, man, no, it does. I can do all this on my own. But truly, when when you kind of grow through life and you kind of experience the things that, or the challenges that come, you understand the importance of having a good system. And I would say the cheat code for me, specifically has been, like I said, my family. I think a big critical component for me has been my wife. You know what I mean? Like we're a dynamic team. Like we're very different, but we have the same focus and the same goals. Yeah. And I think without having that type of support in place, a lot of the thinking that I have on a day-to-day basis would be different or tweaked slightly. But that slight tweak is the difference between being a good employee and a great employee, a good friend. I think another cheat code for me, man, and this is like critical. Like if this is the one thing you got to have in your bag, have a good partner. Number one, good family support, but the people around you, your circle of influence, the people that you hear this all the time, like the people that are around you, if everybody around you is like, hey, the best I'm gonna be is, flipping chickens or whatever, that's the most that y'all are gonna do. You know what I mean? But if you got people that are in here that are owning buildings or, owning these types of things, it keeps you like on this, like, dang, such and such has got this. I need to go be doing this. You know what I mean? You're constantly in this, this mindset to grow and develop. And so I would say, man, having your support system in place, finding a good partner, you know what I mean? Like I know dating and stuff is kind of tough right now, but if you can find a good partner that, has their own goals and ambitions, but can support you in the same breath, that's a win in itself. Y'all figure out the 50-50 bills and all that later, you know what I mean? But like having a good partner there and then having a strong circle of influence of people that are going to sharpen you. Like iron sharpens irons all the time. And if you got a good circle of influence, you really can't go wrong in it,
Yeah, well, I appreciate this circle of influence.
For sure, bro. For sure.
A lot of game. Definitely appreciate you for joining us. It's a monumental thing to be able to come together with people that are like-minded, to really change your perspective, see what we got going on, and that's ultimately what we're doing. So on No Doubt, we create conversations, thought through conversation. We provoke thought through conversation. So definitely appreciate you, Mr. Copeland, for joining us today. And y'all stay tuned. There's many more to come. So appreciate you, bro.
Oh, bro.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. Thanks, bro.
I'm counting blessings more than people counting sheep in they sleep. And they don't make it where I'm from. And I'm so thankful it's me.